it's proper soggy. Proper soggy. Yeah, it is. It's even worse under here because the trees are holding the rain and then just dumping it on you in one thing. It has been raining all day long. Said it was going to stop at 1 o'clock, but it hasn't. And anyway, we need to come up and check the girlies are all right. So not much choice really. Trudge in the rain. Are you all right? All the Narines are out. Looking gorgeous. Oh, Lil, it's soggy, madam. It's so soggy. I know. Shitty weather, huh? Shitty weather. How are the girls? Absolutely pants. Wow, it is so soggy up here. Isn't it, Lil? Oh, darling, I know. Wet and sogs, huh? Go on, you go in there, Lil. It's nice and dry. Yeah, chuck them some mealies in. Just going to go and see how low the temperature got in the greenhouse last night. Sorry about shaky camera, you're just being handheld. Ooh, and it's no warmer in here than it is outside. Oh dear. And the window's open. That would be why. What's the temperature? Oh no, it only got down to 11. But it's only 13 in here now. Whoa, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. You can see the damp is really taking over. This is the melon. I don't think that's long for this world. But yeah, this isn't much good. Look, we've got all the heat escaping out there. I'm gonna have to go outside and try and stick that back up again. It's broken, you see, that's the problem. So we've got it all like wedged up, but it's obviously come undone. So let's go and sort that. Window's open. Let me find something. You all sorted, girlies? You all sorted? Lots of mini grubs? Yeah. Yum, yum, scrum. I'll see you tomorrow. It's not supposed to be raining tomorrow. Cat's not in there, is she? Pond is very full, but look at that. Absolute gorge. Oh, and that's excellent, yes. Somebody's decided to have a chomp on our outdoor tomatoes. Oh, fabulous. I think it was a rat probably, or a squirrel maybe. Anyway, we need some lettuce before we head off. Yeah, well, that was a pretty flying visit, but the girlies are fine, so there's no need to hang around. I'm gonna go and warm up. It's properly chilly. Like, I don't know, it's like it's not windy or anything, but like the rain is cold. You know, the last couple we had a lot of rain recently, but it's been quite warm. This is like, yeah, this is proper. What are you doing up there, madam? That's good balancing. Look at that huge cat on that little tiny post. You go into your shelter, Lil. Go and hide it from the rain, little one. There's no point being out here. Go on. I get a lot of questions about Lily, and no, she's not my cat. She does live up here, and she has a really good house that's totally dry and warm. But she just likes the company, doesn't she? So every time anybody appears, she comes out and gets soaking wet, silly Wally. But the guy who looks after her, who's like, does all her vet appointments and all that kind of stuff, like her main daddy, he's built her a beautiful little house. So that's really super warm, like right near his chickens. So it's all good. It's all good. Oh man, don't slip over in the mud. Can tell Mum's keen to get back to the car. She's racing ahead. I haven't seen her move that fast in ages. That is us finished for today. I am hoping for better weather tomorrow because I'm going to the football, and football in the rain is pretty blooming miserable.
Right, everybody! Right, come on, boys!
Yeah, I got one a minute ago. Don't forget you're going to the football.
He's got like huge writing on his messages. What happened?
Alright, take a picture there. You still there? You're
Quite annoys me about poster where there's a literally sign.
Good morning. Actually, we're on our way to the garden centre and we've just arrived actually. Yesterday Mum was out this way picking up some food for the girlies from Charlotte's Chickens, and we go past this garden centre and it had a 50% off plants sale. So we're back out here this morning to see what we can find. All right. I know, optimistic, we're getting a trolley. Oh wow. I mean, this place is super cheap anyway. Look, these are not in the sale and they're 2 cyclamen for a £5, which is a bargain compared to most places around this way.
Is this the time that you use for cooking?
It can be. That's the silver one. That's gorgeous, that one. That one's lovely. But yeah, we could get that one and some mint. Cute, okay.
This is one lot, and then there are the other ones I was telling you about.
Okay. I think we definitely need some more Rebecca in our life. Didn't have any this year. God, they're gorgeous. They're really lovely. Decision made. I actually managed to convince her. Yeah, we've picked up some ferns too, and maybe some other bits and pieces. None of these are actually allotment related. Apart from one thing, all the rest of it is going home to the back garden. Rebecca are going to go on the sunny side, to give a little bit more oomph on that side because everything's kind of run its course now. And the ferns, we're going to create a bit of a fern garden along the shady edge of the garden. We're going to put a little water feature in there and that kind of thing. But ferns are so expensive and these were an absolute bargain. So I'm chuffed. Couple of house plants, bit of thyme, bit of mint. Very happy with my little shopping trip. Who doesn't love a bargain plant? I think we came away very lightly from that. Well, most of that stuff is actually for home, but I did buy a bag of mixed daffodils, so a whole load of different types. Picture? Loads. Oh God, that's bright. Loads of different types of, oh, hang on, let's just get past this bit. Loads of different types of daffodils, and they're going to go in that bed up here. Do you remember the one that I made out of the old barbecue that's next to the swing seat? That had a bit of trouble this year because it's where the badgers were initially getting through, or the foxes, can't remember which it was now, it was so long ago. And they were digging stuff up, but we've got quite a lot of Verbena bonariensis growing in there really nicely, and some Cerinthe. So we're going to plonk these in underneath and then try and mesh it in some way so that they don't just get dug up instantly and eaten. But that's the plan. Anyway, we're only up here really to dump these and to go and pick up the chicken feed that's in the car. So I've got to go and get the wheelbarrow, and then we've got to whiz home for lunch. I've got to get something in Richmond, and then we'll be back this afternoon. I may whinge about us having the really sandy soil, but it's very useful. A couple of days of sunshine and all of that waterloggedness has just vanished. We don't hold on to the water for ages and sort of flood that I know some people do. So I'm very grateful for my sand when we've had weather like the last couple of days. Good morning, girlies. Good morning. Hi, girls. Hi, girlies. Hello. Right. I'll just plonk these in here for the time being. I've got something very exciting for you girlies. I have, yeah. I've got them some leftover sweet corn from last night. We don't normally eat tin sweet corn, but I just really fancied it yesterday and there was loads left over and I know how much the girls love it. Hey Wellers, how about this for a start to the day, huh? Oh yeah, the best. Come on Val. Oh man, I love those really happy chicken noises. Really jolly. Oh, so annoying. I really hope this sunshine's going to... Actually, I don't know why I'm opening this door because we're going in a second, but the sunshine is just marvellous. Hey girlies, it is, isn't it? Yeah, gorgeous. But yeah, so I've got this, just whiz back to this appointment, have some lunch, and then we will be back. Got loads of things to pick this afternoon, so that's exciting. Yeah, same old really. Picking, planting out, and obviously planting those bulbs. I'll show you the bed that I mean. That's this one. Do you remember? I planted loads of stuff out in here. It was like cornflowers. What else did we have? There were some zinnias in here. Bits and pieces, but actually it got really badly dug up. So I'm just going to stand in the shade a bit so I can see you. It got really badly dug up quite early on in the year before I fixed that bit of fence. So it was like the run through that they were coming in because we'd put so much like fresh soil and manure and stuff in there. It was prime target. But the things that have survived, we've got loads of bonariensis in there, like I said, the verbena. And there's lots of little tiny Cerinthe coming up, which was self-seeded from one that didn't survive earlier in the year, but obviously it got to the point where it was going to seed. There was also some cosmos that went in, but as you can see, that really struggled, and that was basically all that was left of it. We did have some good nasturtiums in here. We did have good nasturtiums, but next year I'm hoping to make it a little bit fuller. We're going to put some dahlias in there, so next year it should be sort of bulbs coming up first, and then we'll have dahlias and verbena and that kind of stuff. The weary wanderer returns. Mum's been down to pick up the chicken goodies from the back of the car. Ah,
It stopped 3 times on the way up.
do you want me to take it down from here? Gone a bit far here.
This is the size I got last time.
Oh, teeny tiny one. Okay.
Side by side. Okay.
They won't go in side by side
Because they're too big.
unless I pick them up at the same time. So let me get that one back out again. Yep,
I'll both and then I'll drop down.
yep. No, I should be able to. What I need to do is get my coat off. It's absolutely boiling, isn't it?
If you get one to the top and I hold it, you get the other one to the top and then we slide them in, okay?
Do you think you're going to be able to do that?
Hold it, yeah. If you put it on there, that's pretty steadfast, steady. Hold it up. Right, okay. And then we go together.
Ready? Okay. So, right, get the chickens back in, go to this appointment, and we'll be back. Hopefully, we won't have lost the sunshine, although it feels a little bit like it's clouding over. Maybe it's just the one cloud. And we're back. And we didn't miss the sunshine. It is still glorious. Right, so what were my jobs that were on the list today? One of them, now we've got this bit of sunshine, is to pick the only drying beans that we grew this year. That's these ones, the ones that were on the third arch. These ones were actually really kindly sent to me by a girl called Jinxie, and I believe she's in Bristol. I could have that wrong. She might not be in Bristol. But these, I've been terming them Jinxie's beans, but I think she says they're Asturian beans. But she's been growing them herself and saving the seed over and over again for years. And so they're kind of like their own little thing. I didn't grow any of the other drying beans this year. So normally I always do Greek gigantes and Bolotti beans, both for drying. But we had so many the previous 2 years that the freezer is still absolutely full of them. So we decided it wasn't really worth it this year and we would try a couple of new ones, including this one. So the beans themselves, a lot of them are paper dry, and in fact some of them are just starting to open up, so I do need to take them home. But it's just the fact that it's a dry day. We've got today, probably tomorrow, but I can't be up here tomorrow. And then after that, it looks like we're diving back down into the wet again. And these just won't dry, go like that really lovely paper dry that you would normally do for drying beans on the plants if the weather's going to continue like it looks. That didn't work out. But if the weather's going to take a dive like that, these are just never going to go like the proper paper dry that you would normally have drying beans go on the vine. As you can see with these ones, like the weather's just been so wet that I'm worried they're going to rot on the plant before we can get them in. So I'm going to cut my losses and take what I can, knowing that about half of them are dry and half of them I'll lay out and try and dry at home. But I am quite looking forward to these chaps. In fact, I haven't even opened one up yet. Let's have a look at what they look like. Yeah, they look like a really nice white bean. Fantastic. Looking forward to these. I think actually some of these are just too green. I mean, like these ones here, don't know if you can see that, but they are like proper, really quite fresh. Although they're going yellow, they are not, yeah, they're never going to dry. So I may as well leave them on. I take the majority so that we don't lose the ones that we've actually got. But some of them I will just leave on and we'll see what the weather does. At least we've got some that are reasonably dry and have a good chance of drying off at home. Okay, this bed is going to have Minestra and Cavolo Nero in it. We have 2 other patches of Cavolo Nero on the go. Doing that thing where one of the plants is really strong and like the others are really weak, so slightly frustrating. But my priority is the Minestra. This should have gone out maybe mid-early September, but we haven't had a bed to put it in. Because we have to cover everything, like things have got a bit limited in where we can shove stuff. So we had to wait, but the plants themselves are looking pretty decent. So I'm going to do the same spacing that I did before, which is 3 across. 1, 2, 3. Having said that about needing a bed for them, we do actually have a couple of clear beds, but they're ones that are kind of worse than the rest for clubroot. So not everywhere's got clubroot here, but some places just seem to have it really bad and others not too bad. So, right, I've got 1 spare, that's so annoying. Okay, well, we'll just go 1 there and then Cavolo Nero it from that point. They want the same spacing as the Cavolo Nero, so some of these little chaps are looking very tiny. That's because they did grow and then they were got by caterpillars because I didn't have them covered. So is that going to be enough? Or shall I, I'll stick 1 more row on the end here, little tiny ones. A bump, a bump, a bump. There we go. Will that do? I think so. Actually, I've just found this rather impressive looking Cavolo Nero down the end there. Where are you? Over there. Sorry, I'm looking into the sun. I found this one, which I will swap out for one of these. I might stick it dead center so it's got a bit of space. Okay, oh wow, what a look, Jessie. What a look. Okay, I think the next thing I'm going to do is actually get into the polytunnel because I've said it 100 times before, but in the winter months, which is basically where we are now, I'm hesitant to say, but it's true. We lose the sun really quickly on the plot. So you can see we've still got the beautiful blue skies and it's lovely, but there's like almost no sun on our plot at all. And I want to get into the polytunnel and pick any tomatoes that are ripe. I think I can just see through the polytunnel plastic. I think the goat bag is ready to be picked. The excitement is like, whoo! But yeah, I want to get in there so that it doesn't lose all of its heat, just so it can get a little bit more at the end because a little bit of sunshine comes through right last thing in the day. So that is the next thing on the list before we lose the warmth. Can you see it? It's like a glowing red bit just down there. And so we've still got the door half pinned down, so it's a rather clumsy, clunky way of getting in, but at least we're keeping the heat. Oh, there's some decent pickings in here. Okay, here we have goat bag. Let's see if it will come off. Oh, I might need 2 hands for this, chaps. Let me just lean you here. Can you see it from there? Yeah. Whoa, beast. I think too, the galaxies are ready. Oh, that one's split. But look how gorgeous that is. Can you see? Hold on. There we go. Look, you can see why it's called Galaxy or Dark Galaxy. That is pretty gorgeous. Let me see how close I can get. It does look like a like James Webb telescope image, doesn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Couple more of these guys. This is Bliss. This was a little gem actually. I'm really pleased with this one. I think this is going on my list for next year, definitely. Tell you what is quite interesting. This Prairie Fire here that's in the corner. This, although last week I was having a bit of a whinge about the flavour of tomatoes, I would say this one has actually done really well in terms of flavour. It's like noticeably stronger in taste than almost all the others that we've grown. So I'm quite impressed with that. And it's a beauty. Rebel Starfighter Prime, still not ripening. That is still rock solid, but what a gorgeous shaped tomato. And actually, I accidentally knocked one off last week. And so it sat at home, and I don't think I'm imagining it. I think it is actually starting to redden up. So fingers crossed for that. Oh, there's more sun gold to pick. We are actually getting some colour on the black crim, which, I'm so happy about that, because it would be a sad year not to get any of these guys. They're really just, what a beautiful tomato. You can just see it starting to come along. Now, these, are we feeling? Not quite, but they're so close. This is the Japanese black truffelli, and interestingly, it hasn't formed its like usual shape this year, which is strange. It's normally like quite narrow at the top and then with a big fat bum, like a medieval coin purse. These are a bit rounder than usual, but they're coming along. A ton of black strawberries to pick. Actually a ton, that's total exaggeration, but this is a tomato that aesthetically I have been wild about. I think it's probably the prettiest tomato I've ever grown. It is stunning. And although the flavour has not blown me away, that's been the case, like I said, with most of the tomatoes this year. So this one is going to be grown again next year because it warrants another go, because it's so beautiful. And hopefully the taste will improve next year, but it's a stunner. I mean, it's not unpleasant taste. It's still delicious. I'm still thrilled to have them. But I'm not going to rule it out as sort of slightly bland without giving it a non-2024 season. But we do have quite a few of them coming down here. You can see they're all starting to blush up. Absolute beauties they are. Absolute beauties, and prolific. Like if you look how many trusses we've got on this plant here compared to kind of the average of this year, which has been really quite a poor truss. I mean, sun gold is normally that you can't move for trusses of sun gold. And obviously we've had a couple, obviously we've been eating them off here. So that's 1, 2. Then there's a huge long gap, and then we've got a couple up the top here. But really, I would have expected this to be completely and utterly covered, and it just hasn't been. Garnet's fared a little bit better. This is one that's actually had really good flavour this year, but it is a known sort of cold weather tomato. Like, it deals quite well if you've got a poor summer. yeah, it's done pretty well. I mean, we've grown this one outside before and had really good results from it. Obviously, we wouldn't have if it was this year because nothing has been good outside this year. But another love, Black Moon. So gorgeous. Quite similar to the Black Strawberry. If I put them up here like this, you see we've got this kind of like the blush. But do you see how much pinker the strawberry is? It's really quite pink, and then it's got the green streaks in that red. Oh, it's just, they're so beautiful. Oh, they're so beautiful. Still no colour change on the Sartre Relays or the Alice's Dream. Got some Brads too that are ready to pick. Oh, that one's a bit tricky. They're nice and soft. And probably needs a little bit more. We want a little bit more red on it than that. That one maybe. Yeah, that's a good one. But overall, things are really not as bad as they could be. Another cucumber to have it. Ah, man, that's a spiky cucumber. I keep forgetting I've got two varieties in here. One of them looks spiky and isn't really, and the other one looks pretty smooth and you touch it and it's like touching a porcupine. But yeah, it is not too bad. It's not too bad in here at all. And we just go again next year, actually. I've been thinking a lot about next year. And one of the things that I have done this week is order my potatoes for next year. Ian, Grown Local, is doing his like pre-ordering of potatoes. He's got a fantastic selection. Like all the ones that I tend to go for. So it's like the Kerr's Pink, Caledonian Pearl, two absolute stunning potatoes. Obviously Red Duke. Do you remember I had a bit of trouble getting hold of Red Duke last year? So I've ordered all them off him, and I'm trying a new variety, Caledonian Rose, which is a pink potato. So I'm doing 2 first earlies and 2 main crop, and we're just going to put 2 beds aside to them next year, not faff around in pots, because we've had a couple of years where the pots have just really, really not worked. It's either too wet or too dry, or the slugs have got them, and actually this year we had those 2 beds full of potatoes and they worked so much better than the pots. So we are going to go back to bed. We're going to go back to bed. I wish. No, we're going to go back to potatoes in beds and to the 2 first earlies, Red Duke and Caledonian Pearl. So it's a red one with white flesh and a white one. Beautiful potato Caledonian Pearl was. We grew that not last year but the year before. And they're also a red one and a white one for main crop. So Kerr's Pink is white but with a very slight rose blush. It's a beautiful potato, really like flattened. It's a gorge. And then we're doing, what did I say the other one was? Oh yeah, the new one, Caledonian Rose, which is like an oval, very, very like fuchsia pink. It looks a stunner. Looks a stunner. So yeah, that's what we're doing. I've ordered them already. I will put a link to all of the varieties that he's doing under here, because he's got masses of them this year, and they're for pre-order. So although I'm ordering them now and getting overexcited, they won't actually be here until, I think it said January, mid-February, so it comes just at the right point and I don't have to worry about it at the time. Fantastic. You wait, we'll get to that time and I will have forgotten that I've ordered them, so we'll end up with double potatoes. If I start talking about going to buy potatoes, remind me. Right. Are we done in here? I think so. Mum's just reminded me that before we go, we have to cover this bed that I've just planted out, because we are still getting nightly visits. Nothing in the beds that I've covered with the arch covers. They're working really well, but we're just having a bit of a delay on carrying on with the rest of them at the moment. So this bed is going to be covered with the old school, and we're just going to really peg it down with bamboo canes wrapped in the mesh at the other side to try and like not allow any gaps coming up either side. Yeah. Wish us luck. Okie dokie. So Mum is currently taking down the sweet peas that were growing in the end of this bed.
And I've made some space for you to get
Yeah.
in.
The door is open and what we're getting from here is broccoli. Well, sprouting broccoli. How cool is that? And there's lots of other like little bits and pieces in here as well, which I'm going to pick off. Can you see there's like little sprouty bits everywhere? I'm also going to take a couple of these beauties to have in the dinner. Woo! It works! So this has been out of commission for ages. It completely stopped working. We've changed the batteries a couple of times and I got someone to have a bit of a fiddle with it, and fresh batteries, and we're on. Now we've just got to decide where to put it. The old horse that we keep threatening to throw out because it's got wobbly legs has come in handy yet again and proved its worth. It is now a camera, oh it's not really a tripod is it, quad pod, for tonight's badger watch or fox watch or probably rat watch, which is what it will end up being because it's normally rats we catch. But we're pointing it directly at the bed that I planted the Cavolo Nero and Minestra out in. So fingers crossed we catch something. I don't know if you can hear what's going on in the chicken house. Mum is trying to wrestle 2 chickens out from under Margot, and she's not having it. Anyway, I think we are just about to call it a day. It's been a good day. The sky is still blue and it's like, what is it, just past 5 o'clock. We have a basket of goodies. We've got Wappington Wopsville here, goat bag. Yeah, peppers, broccoli, tomatoes, courgettes, and it's October. I have set the camera up. It's a tussle between whether to put it over the bulbs that we planted or where I put the brassicas. But the brassicas had the Q4 fertiliser on it that I think was previously what was attracting them, but we've really got that netting down firm. I think that was foxes or badgers. I don't know. Who knows? We'll just see if we capture anything. So we might have something to tack on the end of this video. So yeah, end of day. End of really lovely day. I was really sad when autumn hit with such ferocity at the beginning of September. But when you get a really sunny, beautiful autumn day and it's like the end of, summer and it's all, things are dying back, but it's also quite optimistic. It's really nice and the air smells great. And it's soon going to be time for just endless leaf raking and leaf mould making. Yeah, it's good. Cheers, chaps. I I know, it's not really rosé weather. It's like feeling proper autumnal, but sunny autumn is probably one of my favourite like periods of the year. It's absolute bliss. And have a look at the Amelanchier in the back garden, how beautiful this is, and how beautifully it goes with the Rebecca that we picked up the other day. Yes, it's looking beautifully autumnal outside. And with a bit of blue sky, you really can't complain. Talking about things you also can't complain about, you know, I said my Rebel Starfighter Prime tomato that had fallen off early, or I accidentally cut off early, was starting to go red. I'm not imagining it. Look, it is actually starting to go red. So even if none of the ones in the polytunnel actually become ripe, we're going to at least get to try one, which is, yeah, quite exciting. Tomatoes, I think I can count, has not been a wild success this year, but it hasn't been a complete washout, which, I mean, that's all right. That's all right. So yeah, what else did I have to mention? Oh yeah, so the potatoes on Grown Local Ian's website, they will be down below, or the link to it will be down below. I have a code that you can use for them. This is pre-order, remember, so that they won't be with you until the end of Jan, mid-Feb, that kind of time. But it's nice to get them in now. It's made me feel really enthusiastic, actually, just like putting that little order in and being like, yeah, come on. We're not far away from spring. Like, it's one of those things, isn't it? When you're growing stuff, you're always thinking at least 1 or 2 seasons ahead for like when things are going to be coming, when things are going, when you've got to do this and when you've got to do that, in order to have something now. Like, you had to have done it like 6 months ago. So yeah, getting those potato orders in, that was really exciting. And also making some decisions about next year, like for example, the fact that we're going to grow all the potatoes in the beds next year and not bother growing them in pots. I know some people have wild success growing them in pots, but I think the problem is user error entirely, not the principle of it. I think it's just that we're not consistent enough with watering and checking that they're not overwatered and checking for slugs and that sort of thing to grow in pots successfully. Whereas in the ground, they really do pretty much just take care of themselves, and that's really the style of growing that I'm interested in. It's really disappointing as well, because obviously when you're growing in pots, you have to buy the compost, or at least you have to have used your own compost, or you have to have compost enough to fill those pots. So it's actually quite an investment to plant your 3 potatoes in there or whatever you're doing. And when you only get like 6 potatoes out, it does feel like a bit of a waste. But the beds, particularly the first earlies. So like I said, we're only doing main crop and first earlies this year, so that we can plant them in their beds as they are and we don't lose track. Because often when we go to Chapman's to buy the potatoes, which is what we normally do because he sells them by weight, it means that we can get loads of different varieties in. But actually there's a bit of a folly in getting loads of different varieties, because inevitably we lose the labels of what they are and we're digging things up at not only the wrong time, but we don't know what the variety is we're actually growing. That's the problem with growing them in the soil. When they're in the pots, obviously they're labelled and you know what they are. So this year we're like reducing right down, and for each of them we've got 1 pink and 1 white. So there's going to be no confusion about what we're growing. Do you think that's actually what's going to happen? But doing that is also like making that decision. We've really started to look at what has and hasn't worked this year. And obviously this year there's been a lot of on the hasn't side of that. But a lot of those things I think we can solve for next year. So I'm feeling quite optimistic on that front. We've had a lot of problems with club root this year. So we're kind of narrowing down the beds that we want to be growing the brassicas in over the next couple of years and kind of shuffle them sideways. I think the 4 arches down the centre worked really, really well. It wasn't the best year for the beans other than French beans. French beans were wild. The runner beans, not so great. Really not so great. And I think a lot of things in that bed at the top there suffered. So don't know what's going on in there, but we're going to have to try and amend that a bit over the winter, I think. Get something in there that's going to really help the soil. Because just nothing on one of those sides really grew very well at all. And the runner beans that were up there, you know, runner beans, they tend to get really nice and long and straight and tender before they start forming the beans. on one side of the arch, they started forming the beans really early. So we had really gnarled. One side, beautiful, beautiful. The other side, really gnarly. So there's something wrong in that bed that we're going to have to sort out. Something else that was a really big success was the quad grows in the greenhouse. Absolutely wild about them. If I could, I would buy another 2 sets of them. But sadly, I don't actually have the space to do that. So we're just going to stick with the 2 sets. So that's 8 pots and just work from there. But interestingly, although the chilies did phenomenally well in the quad grows, and I reckon tomatoes would as well, although we've got too many tomatoes to put in quad grows, it'd be ridiculous. What didn't do so well was the aubergine. It really didn't enjoy it for some unknown reason. So I won't be doing aubergine. So when I did them, I put mainly chilies because that's what I wanted really to grow in them. But I put 1 melon and 1 aubergine in at the end just to see, you know, how they responded to growing in the quad grows. And actually the melon did brilliantly. Didn't get any melons, obviously, because melons require a bit of sunshine. But the aubergine, I planted 2 the same, 1 in the quad grow and 1 just in the normal pot, just in a little trough underneath. And the one in the trough did so much better. So these things are trial and error. I know that aubergines are not going to be really much of a goer in the quad grow. So it's going to be chilies and melons next year. I reckon the cucumbers would do brilliantly in there as well. But I'm growing cucumbers in the polytunnel now instead of the greenhouse because of humidity issues. So they're just going to grow straight in the ground. But so that's another big success for this year. Also, the new configuration in the greenhouse has worked really well, having the bench down one side rather than at the end. It's given us loads more growing space, but we haven't lost any bench space either. So that's been really successful. So yeah, there has been some great successes actually. But obviously we've been battling a lot of stuff, battling weather and battling creatures. And how can I have left this long to tell you? This was the main bit of news to tell you. So, you know, I set up the wildlife camera, finally got it going again because it's been out of commission for ages. I dropped it and then it just refused to turn back on again. And we tried and we've put new batteries in it and everything. Anyway, for some unknown reason, fiddled with it again and it's come back on. Well, have a look at this. We caught a badger. So this is actually looking behind the bed. Obviously you can only see it just through the little gap there. Not the best bit of footage you've ever seen, but unmistakably a badger. So yeah, for anybody doubting that it was badgers, we have proof. We have proof. I'm going to move it to going up the main path because I think that's where the badger went next, as it came over that bit of fence and then went up the main path. So hopefully if I can position the camera looking straight up the path, that will get a better shot. Get a better shot. Actually, it didn't look like a huge badger. It looks like a, you know, juvenile. But anyway, we caught one. Okay, and that, chaps, is the end of another week. I will see you next week. Thank you to everybody who's watched. Thank you to my patrons, who are the people whose names you see right at the end of the video. The list of excellent bods who support this channel. And I will see you next week. Cheers, chaps.